All right. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be. This is Kenius. Hey, I just want to quickly start off by saying, hey, all the people that create videos on YouTube, all the updates on the developer reports, or what's coming, or the new planes, or just whatever. All of you other folks who produce YouTube videos, thank you for the last month or two or longer that I've been away, life stuff, for keeping us all informed. Right? So thank you very much. And the ones that just produce content, cheers to you as well. But the folks that do the updates and the what happened with the latest developer update, what's going on with the Sobo, yada, 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 and comments on what's going on, your thoughts on it. I've got my coffee here. Cheers. Here's to your health, well-being, and prosperity. Thank you. Even that goofy, I don't know what you are. Scotsman, Irishman, the guy with the goofy Scooby-Doo laugh. Crazy man. Okay. Man, I am just the worst at this helicopter thing. I have had to skip one of the training modules on just controlled hover altogether. I can't do it. People are saying, well, with the joystick, you just can't get the kind of sensitivities you need to do it. And, if you rig the neutral position to this way and do this and do that, I'm like, forget it. So I did. I spent the last few hours just messing with the controls to try to see if I could find that sweet spot to allow me to pass that training mission. And I just really couldn't. So I've just been moving on, and now I'm up to the solo one, and he wants me to take the covers off of these things. Oh, good. You only have to do one. Remove the pedo cover. Okay. Kind of hard to see. Don't forget, in that first mission, if you have gone into it and the first training mission, it's actually the second one. Where you actually, or is it the first one? Either way, when you fire it up, sometimes it's bugged. He'll tell you to, okay, go ahead and start the engine. We'll look at the avionics. And you press Control E to start the thing, and he's like, hey, wait a minute. I know you want to get flying, but there's some things you got to learn first, and you have to start that one over again. It's kind of like one of the old tutorials from the old flight simulators of the past, where if it makes a mistake, then you've got to sit through like 5 minutes worth of training again to get back to that point. It's very much like that. I can't see a way to skip through it. Like, hurry it up. Let's just get back to that part. So kind of a drag. Okay. It's a scary banshee noise. Yikes. Today was fantastic. I was so frustrated with my training stuff. About halfway through, I just said, heck with it, and went and flew with my friends from Germany today. First time we were all together in Discord. First time hearing their voices. Just got to muck about flying around Germany for a little bit this afternoon. All right, so stop the helipad. It is still going to be a little bit wonky. I just finally got fed up and set everything back to defaults. So I've got no sensitivities put in or anything, just whatever. I think we're in Spain. By the way, a very beautiful mountain range. I'm really enjoying, even though they don't work entirely well, the Icon, not the Icon, the VTOL aircraft that are available in 2024. The Joby, the Jetson, and the Archer. And I really love their assisted landing technology. So when you tell it to land, it just calculates everything and it puts you down nice and smooth. 2025, and they're the ones to come out with that technology. Interesting. Anything actually picks up height really quickly. Just trying to maintain 1,200 feet. Then you push your nose forward and you actually climb really fast. It's a noise I'm used to hearing. Saying earlier today, I really not an envy, have a much deeper respect for the folks out there who can fly helicopters. Because man, it's crazy. They are crazy. I'm sure they're going to get much easier starting now too. You know, I'm sure that there are probably models out there that are just so super simplified now. And that's fantastic. I've been all for learning everything traditionally, learning how to fly, learning as much as I can. And I appreciate that one knows how to fly a plane different ways, I guess. So when I say that everything's becoming super simplified and it's become computerized, or AI, it's going to be AI driven and da 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 da. And some people feel that, well, then you're not really flying, and I understand. But I approach it completely from one of like safety, simplicity. I don't know how long it has taken you to feel that you're really good at flying. How many years? And then you say, well, I'll never quit learning. I'll always be a student. Well, yeah, I get that, but it's probably taken you a while. And then the years on top of that, just for training and simming and, but to become a real world pilot and, do it out there, when people's lives are on the line, if there's a simpler and safer way to do it, then do it. That's the way I feel. So bring on the automation, bring on the simplicity, because flying, learning how to fly one of the Archer, like the Archer Midnight, the Joby, or the Jetson. Of course, having any sort of flying experience is going to be better and better and better and help you get into something like that and just get going. But even if you've never flown before, somebody that's never, ever flown, for them to get into one of those type of aircraft, and within, let's just say a month, I was going to say an hour, and really an hour, but let's just say, give them a month to just fly it over and over and over again. They'll be able to fly anybody, anywhere, anything, anywhere. I want to say completely safely. Things always go wrong. It's an imperfect world. But for the most part, a month. And that, again, that's a long time. I think you could fully train somebody in everything that you'd need to know. Navigation, automation, everything. In a few days. And then they could do it as a career. As opposed to, several years to learn how to do this stuff. And considering the accidents lately, right, you're finding out it's a lot of, usually younger people that are they've just now gotten certified, and they just don't have a whole lot of experience. And the FAA was worried about that 20 years ago, that that the old school pilots are all starting to pass away and move on. And that it was going to be very difficult coming right around now to make sure that there was enough really, truly qualified aviators out there to run the fleets. So they're like, it's the president's fault, and it's this guy's fault, it's that guy's fault. Hey, man, when you're the pilot, it's all you. It's nobody's fault but you. That's what they teach us, right? All the way back to our old first King lessons and Rod Machado lessons. When you're the one flying the thing, you are the one. All responsibility falls on you. You are responsible for the safety of it's all you. Okay, well, it's not responding. Control Shift E. Well, it doesn't want to listen to me. How about this? Huh.
Hey, you can use the rotor brake to expedite the slowing down and stopping of the main rotor.
See, that they didn't teach this at all in any of these training lessons so far. It's just I happen to know that. So if it doesn't shut down on you, go grab the brakes up here, the rotor brake. Then turn it off through the master switch. See what it does here. There we go.
You flew perfectly with no mistakes.
No, there was tons of mistakes. Tons of mistakes in that. But I appreciate you saying so. Rapid deceleration. Lovely. Lovely.
Now, when you have more skill and understanding of the helicopter, let's move to advanced maneuvers. Keep hovering over the runway center line while I'm talking. Okay?
Oh,
Advanced
okay.
maneuvers often require a pilot to take the helicopter to the edge of the safe operating envelope. Today we will learn to do a rapid deceleration maneuver. You will see, even though it is also called a quick stop, all inputs should be slow and gentle. We will begin with air taxi. You will accelerate to 45 knots, climb to 30 feet, and lower the collective a bit to keep this height and speed. We will want to fully stop above the arrow, which marks the very end of the runway. Remember the technique. At the same time, apply aft cyclic and lower the collective to maintain height and slow down. When the speed is almost gone and the helicopter begins to settle, slowly raise the collective and add forward cyclic until you stabilize and hover. That's it. Just don't forget to maintain the correct...
That's it. Maybe they
Let's go.
should give us a video.
Just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet.
Which is kind of tough. Because the faster you go, when you start going forward, it's really hard to stay under 10 feet and then pick up the speed that you need.
Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. .30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. Now, aft cyclic and push the collective down. Keep flaring until you lose speed. Next time, begin raising the collective earlier to avoid hitting the ground. Let's try the whole maneuver again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Start.
That's not easy.
Just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots.
Wait.
30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit.
But I can't maintain.
We need to be at the 30 feet with 45 knots airspeed when starting rapid deceleration.
That's tough.
Taxi again. But this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick stop. Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. "30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. You are too high. We need to be at the 30 feet with
Well, he's not kidding about that.
speed when starting rapid deceleration. Let's try air taxi again, but this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick stop. Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. You should be staying above the runway. Fly back.
That is tough.
Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. 30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. We need to be at the 30 feet with 40
You're kidding me.
airspeed when starting.
Where were we?
Let's try air taxi again, but this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick stop.
Thought we were good that time.
Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. "30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. We need to be at the 30
Oh my goodness.
knots airspeed when starting rapid deceleration. Let's try air taxi again, but this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick.
The darn text where where he pops up there, it says instructor at the bottom. It's covering up the instrument. It's hard for me to keep an eye on
45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet.
on my speed and my altitude because the message pops up right there.
Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots.
Didn't even get my boxes that time.
Keep this height and 45 knots. We need to be at the 30 feet
Son of a gun.
speed when starting rapid deceleration. Let's try air taxi again, but this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick stop. Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. "30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. We need to be at the 30 feet with 45 knots airspeed when starting rapid deceleration. Let's try air taxi again, but this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick stop. Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. "30 feet. keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. We need to be at the 30 feet with 45 knots.
Sorry, folks, I'm not gonna get it.
Rapid deceleration.
I mean, I can keep at it and just,
Taxi again.
I'll try it a few more times, but
Good conditions for making a quick.
I'm just about ready to move on.
Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. 30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. You were too high. We need to be at the 30 feet with 45 knots airspeed when starting rapid deceleration. Let's try air taxi again, but this time make sure that we have good conditions for making a quick stop. Let's go. Start by moving forward just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet. Now climb to 30 feet while staying at 45 knots. 30 feet. Keep this height and 45 knot speed. Lower the collective a bit. We need to be at the 30 feet.
Ah, forget it. Forget it. Forget it. Forget it. Sorry. Just, no. I'm not gonna get it. I understand what he wants me to do, but there's just no leeway there. So I can't. I'm not getting it. All right. Some of us are born with the pilot DNA, man. I'm not one of them.
Hi there, I am controlling the helicopter now, and we are entering the left downwind leg of our usual traffic pattern. Prepare to take control of the helicopter in 3, 2, 1, now. Good. Keep flying straight and level. Maintain altitude between 1,000 and 1,200 feet. This is a good height for the high reconnaissance we are about to do. Our goal today is to operate in the confined area. See that small field surrounded by trees and hangars?
Yep. Oh, he wants us to move the camera.
Target. Fly closer to have a better overview of the field. Gradually slow down to almost a hovering speed now. We need to fly alongside the field very slow and explore it carefully. Check if there are any unexpected obstacles present. Wires, for instance.
You know, we just took off straight up.
Looks good to me. Judging by the windsock at the airport, we will be landing parallel to the 04 runway. Let's fly downwind and prepare for the approach now. Speed up again. Deviate to the left to allow enough space for turning back on final. Now turn right and start slowing down and descending. Try to be at 1,000 feet and 50 knots airspeed when you enter the final descent.
Way too slow.
Now begin your descent to the landing field. Lower the collective more than you would normally, but avoid vortex ring state conditions. After a steep approach, you need to begin raising the collective higher and more forcefully to avoid settling and touching the ground. Stabilize your hover now. Let's prepare for takeoff now. Make a pivoting turn back toward the downwind side of the field. Hover taxi to the downwind corner of the field to have as much area as possible in front of us. Remember, the three most useless things during an emergency are the runway behind you, the altitude above you, and the fuel left in the fuel truck. Head against the wind now and prepare for takeoff. Stabilize your hover over our takeoff spot. All gauges are green, we have enough fuel, and we have over 10% available power in reserve. Slowly raise collective and lower your nose a bit to start gaining speed. Aim for 100% at MLI, but not more. Now transition to your usual climb with 50 knots airspeed. That was a good attempt, but you need a bit more practice to safely operate in confined areas.
Okay. And that concludes. You know, we couldn't get this one, and we couldn't get this one, hovering flight and rapid deceleration. Just, you know, people are like, well, you need a better rig if you're going to fly helicopters, but if you can't, then it might require a little bit more finagling in your controls, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's good enough. All right, so what do we have left here? We've got gliding, I think. Nothing on gliding and nothing on FA-18. That seems like a lot of fun. What do we have? Have a fun one. High performance takeoff, ridge crossing, and split S. Sometimes the takeoff area is too short or restricted by obstructions, necessitating a high performance takeoff with full afterburner. Today's lesson will focus on performing a short takeoff with the Boeing FA-18E jet fighter. To activate the afterburners in this aircraft, advance the throttles past the military position, detent gates, and into the max position. Most modern jet fighters, critical aircraft information appears on the HUD. The tutorial will teach you to smoothly raise the throttles to the mil detent gates, then to max to light the afterburners. Raise landing gear and set the flaps to auto. Use the velocity vector together with the pitch scale to maintain 10% nose-up attitude. Once you've reached 300 knots, start an unrestricted climb with the 45-degree nose-up attitude. afterburner, an aux combination unit fitted to some turbojet engines, enabling for an increase in thrust. She sure is pretty. What a marvel.
Welcome to the most thrilling 9 weeks of your flying career.
Man, easy.
I'm Lieutenant Diana Dreher, call sign Apex, U.S. Naval Flight Instructor. I'm here to see if you've got what it takes to be an elite pilot in the FA-18E. Your goal is a high-performance takeoff with an unrestricted climb in full afterburner. First, follow the line up and wait procedure. Power to MIL, and keep the jet centered down the runway. Steer the jet onto the center line. Advance the throttles. Power to MIL. Okay, max power. Retract your gear and then set your flaps to auto. Start climbing, aim your velocity vector at 10 degrees on your pitch scale. As you pass through 300 knots, pitch your nose up 45 degrees for the unrestricted climb.
Dang.
You made a number of mistakes today, but keep practicing to demonstrate your full potential.
What I wanted to do was find out where in your flaps, I wasn't paying attention, I should have identified where the flap switch is. And let's do that one again. This is the easy one. To set it to auto, because I've only got flaps up and down. I don't have a flap set to auto button.
Welcome to the most thrilling 9 weeks of your flying career.
And I think...
Call sign Apex, U.S. Naval Flight Instructor. I'm here to see if you've got what it takes to be an elite pilot in the FA-18E. Your goal is a high-performance takeoff with an unrestricted climb in full afterburner.
Flaps, 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 flaps.
Follow the line up and wait procedure.
Let's find where our flaps are first, shall we? Well, let me press this and see if anything moves in here. Ah. Ah. So, 2 up, we'll do it. Okay.
Power to MIL, and keep the jet centered down the runway. Okay, max power. Steer the jet onto the center line. Retract your gear, and then set your flaps to auto. Start climbing, aim your velocity vector at 10 degrees on your pitch scale. As you pass through 300 knots, pitch your nose up 45 degrees for the unrestricted climb. You made a number of mistakes today, but keep practicing to demonstrate your full potential. We need full...
My gear didn't come up.
Welcome to the most thrilling 9 weeks of your flying career. I'm Lieutenant Diana Dreher, call sign Apex, U.S. Naval Flight Instructor. I'm here to see if you've got what it takes to be an elite pilot in the FA-18E. Your goal is a high-performance takeoff with an unrestricted climb in full afterburner. First, follow the line up and wait procedure. Power to MIL, and keep the jet centered down the runway. Okay, max power. Steer the jet onto the center line. Retract your gear, and then set your flaps to auto. Start climbing.
Yikes.
Power to MIL, and keep the jet centered down the runway. Okay, max power. Steer the jet onto the center line.
It didn't take off that time.
Power to MIL, and keep the jet centered down the runway. Okay, max power. Steer the jet onto the center line. Retract your gear, and then set your flaps to auto. Start climbing, aim your velocity vector at 10 degrees on your pitch scale. As you pass through 300 knots, pitch your nose up 45 degrees for the unrestricted climb. You made a number of mistakes today, but keep practicing to demonstrate your full potential.
Can't tell if my gear's up or down. It's up. Okay. So ridge crossing, we're going to go up over, we do a flip, and then level out at 18,500. I think we go inverted.
Today we'll focus on ridge crossing, a vital skill for fighter pilots. It's a maneuver that allows pilots to hug terrain such as mountains and ridges. This flight profile allows you to maintain positive G-forces, speed, and a clear view ahead. Approach the top of the cloud, then prepare to perform a roll. As you can see, your HUD's bank angle information can't track beyond 45 degrees. At the top of the cloud, maintain a bank angle between 90 and 180 degrees, ideally right at 135. Roll the jet. Descend to lower altitude, making sure to avoid contact. Roll back to an upright attitude. Now return the jet to straight and level. Congratulations. You're now ready to try flying low and hugging actual terrain.
So well, you demonstrate your fighter jet capabilities by performing a split S maneuver. Split S begins with a half roll, followed by a half loop. This maneuver is a fighter pilot's classic when disengaging from a pursuing enemy aircraft. Maintain 350 knots, roll inverted, start pulling up, execute a descending half loop. Put the plane right side up and stabilize it.
Let's see how well you can handle the FA-18E in the air. Maintain 350 knots and keep above 10,000 feet. Your speed is too high to safely perform the maneuver. Target airspeed is 350.
Well, it came in fully loaded, so...
Show me how you execute a split S, a classic maneuver. Your speed is too high to safely perform the maneuver. Target airspeed is 350 knots. Let's start by rolling 180 degrees into an inverted attitude.
Come on.
Go ahead, roll 180 degrees. Pull back on the stick, keep the maneuver fluid. Now return the jet to straight and level. You're too low. Pull back on the stick and apply power. You performed well, although your flying can definitely be refined. Next time, I want you to watch your inputs, especially your roll control, to keep from deviating left or right from the plane of execution.
All right, well, the first thing, doing this one again, is we got to make sure that our throttle is not all the way full forward from the previous one. So let's try that again. Okay, so put it at about 10%. See what that gets us. Because we're already, there's 351. Okay.
Handle the FA-18E in the air. Maintain 350 knots and keep above 10,000 feet.
Okay, there's about halfway in the throttle.
How you execute a split S.
Oh, slow down, slow down.
Let's start by rolling 180 degrees into an inverted attitude. Pull back on the stick, keep the maneuver fluid.
2 Gs, 3 Gs, 3, 3, 7, 3, 9, 4, 5, 5, 6.
Now return the jet to straight and level. You performed well, although your flying can definitely be refined. Next time, I want you to watch your inputs, especially your roll control, to keep from deviating left or right from the plane of execution.
Roger that, Captain. Commander. So that's it for the jet, huh? All right, well, it's done. So, cool. Airliners may seem more complex than standard general aviation aircraft, but some proper training will enable you to take off with ease. We will be flying out of France's Nice Côte d'Azur Airport today at the helm of one of the world's popular airliners, the Boeing 737-8 MAX. Hey, thanks for stopping in. Cheers. Hey, if you're one of those YouTube guys that makes video or content, big thumbs up. Cheers. Thank you for all you do. I've been on a long extended vacation lately, and you guys have been keeping me informed and up to speed on what's going on in the community. Alrighty.
Perfect weather for a flight out of nice Côte d'Azur.
Côte d'Azur.
We're on runway 22 left, and we're cleared for takeoff. Taking off in a 737 MAX obviously requires more speed and a longer runway than a single-engine prop plane. But luckily we have some extra tools at our disposal to make the job a little easier once we're airborne. For starters, the auto throttle manages engine power to maintain a target airspeed, while the autopilot keeps us on track with navigation. When I give the word, you're going to execute a straight-out takeoff. After you complete the initial climb, I'll take the controls. But first, check the FMC to look at our reference speeds. I've already typed in all the necessary data. Rotation speed, or VR, is at 129 knots. I'll call out when we reach it. V1 is the speed under which you still can cancel your takeoff in case of a technical issue. V2 is the speed beyond which it is safe to take off even under a technical issue. Take a look at the PFD now. Once we hit VR, you just need to initiate a gentle rotation by pulling back on the yoke. The flight director is represented by a magenta crosshair on your PFD. Stay aligned with it for an optimal takeoff attitude. Next, let's review the thrust levers. As you can see, you have 2 thrust levers, one for each engine. One thing to be aware of during takeoff is for both engines to be stable and at the same value. Once you've made sure of that, you can press the toggle button to let the auto throttle take over. Now let's monitor the engine parameters. On top of the MFD screen, you can see the engine's RPM. Make sure that they are always at the same level. Whenever you are ready to take off, go ahead and remove the parking brake.
Where is the toggle button? Is there a toggle button or an auto throttle? I'm looking, there's the auto throttle armed.
Okay, we're ready to go. Apply half forward yoke. Then gently move both thrust levers to 40%. Once you see that both engines are equal and stable, press the toggle button located underneath the main handle on the thrust lever.
What? Hold on. What's he talking about here? This button?
Use the rudder to keep us on the center line. 80.
111.
Rotate. Positive climb. gear up. Now stick to your flight plan by following the flight director until you reach 1,000 feet above ground level. Then, activate the autopilot. You can now...
1,000 feet, autopilot.
To do so, press the autopilot command and level change buttons.
Autopilot command.
Now set flaps to 0 degrees. Well done, but there's room for improvement.
Now that you've learned how to take off with the Boeing 737-8 MAX, let's work on a landing with an airliner. In today's lesson, you'll be performing a visual landing at Nest Côte d'Azur, located in French Riviera. Make the sign of the cross real fast. I know it's a simulator, but
for a visual landing approach into Nice Côte d'Azur.
Hey man, nice coat.
Our main objective is to control the pitch to stay on the glide slope. Look to the right of the runway at the 4 colored lights called Poppy. They'll give feedback to stay within a 3-degree glide slope all the way down.
It's
Poppy shows 2 white lights and 2 reds.
happy.
Then we're on target. For white lights mean we're too high. For red means we're too low. At 20 feet, pull back on the yoke to kiss the runway, but be careful to avoid a tail strike. You only need to use the yoke when you want to make attitude adjustments. Alright, as long as auto throttle is on, the speed will be automatically managed. Just keep making small adjustments to pitch and roll as necessary. See the screw on the dash above the PFD. Use that as a guideline to keep us centered on the runway.
I don't, it's too dark. I don't know which screw he's talking about. And I kind of take exception with this, the way he says Poppy. It's not Poppy. And he makes it sound like it's Poppy. It's Pappy. Which, I don't know what screw he's talking about. Named after Pappy Boyington, the fighter pilot commander who created the light system. They didn't call him Poppy. There was a television program. I'd love to go back and find all the episodes, and I haven't looked on YouTube. And I haven't looked on Prime, but the Ba Ba Black Sheep. Ba Ba Black Sheep. Television series that used to air on NBC. And it was about Pappy Boyington and his fighter squadron stationed on the island, the Pacific Islands, right? Starring Robert Conrad as Pappy. I remember my folks used to watch it growing up, but I, it was like past my bedtime or, just as a kid, not really terribly interested.
1,000. Glide slow, glide slow, glide slow. Glide slow, 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 glide slow.
Well, I don't know. Okay. All right. I don't think I've been 3% this whole time. I haven't gotten that thing to turn green. Oh, please.
500.
We're getting close to the threshold. Now, shift your focus down to the end of the runway. Listen for the computer calling out retard. Then set thrust to idle.
300.
I'm definitely not on the right screw.
Flaps. Too low. 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 Flaps.
Were we supposed to have the flaps?
Approaching minimums. 50.
He didn't say anything about putting the flaps down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now I've got too much lift. I gotta make it. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Ain't gonna happen. Would have to do a go round.
We're on course for a visual landing approach into Nice Côte d'Azur. Auto throttle is going to handle power management, so our main objective is to control the pitch to stay on the glide slope. Look to the right of the runway at the 4 colored lights called Poppy. They'll give feedback to stay within a 3-degree glide slope all the way down. If the Poppy shows 2 white lights and 2 reds, then we're on target. For white lights mean we're too high. For red means we're too low. At 20 feet, pull back on the yoke to kiss the runway, but be careful to avoid a tail strike. You only need to use the yoke when you want to make attitude adjustments. Alright, as long as auto throttle is on, the speed will be automatically managed. Just keep making small adjustments to pitch and roll as necessary. See the screw on the dash above the PFD. Use that as a guideline to keep us centered on the runway.
I really want to know what screw he's talking about, because that's the only one there. Not seeing any white at all. So too low. But doesn't feel too low. There we go. There we go. Too high. She's like flying a cow. Now I got no lights. Nice.
We're getting close to the threshold. Now, shift your focus down to the end of the runway.
Sync rate.
Listen for the computer calling out, retard. Then, set thrust to idle.
200. Too low. Flaps. 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 Too low.
Not too high.
Too low. Flaps. Approaching level. Flaps. Too
It's not smooth at all.
low. Flaps.
Man.
Flaps. Too low. Flaps. Too low. Flaps.
Now return the yoke to neutral. Spoilers and auto brakes are activated.
It didn't say apply the brakes, stop, or to turn. Or I missed it. Excuse me. My brakes don't seem to be working. This must not be using the controller setup
You can do better.
that I have set up, because my brakes didn't toggle. Well, that is it's kind of a toughie to land. She's the responsiveness, and it's so easy to, overcompensate. And then there's the lag, you pull back and then it's such a beast. I wonder how long it's going to take for them to convert, and I probably watch 100 years, because the next 100 years, until they convert to vertical takeoff and landing. What is it going to look like when these airliners can do vertical takeoff and landing? And we need it. Every takeoff and every landing, more so the landing, I think, of course, it's rolling the death dice anymore. Even, it doesn't matter what you're flying. Landing is rolling the death dice, because anything can go wrong. And I'm just so happy we have finally got to 2025, and now they're pushing this vertical takeoff and landing technology. And it'll be great to not hear, hopefully, things are colliding and people crashing and people flipping upside down, and unless they can figure out how to fly these things at like 40 miles an hour. Does it make a hurtling mass like this fly at super slow speeds? Heck, any aircraft to be able to fly at super slow speeds. Redesigning the bodies, whatever they got to do. We just don't have it, which surprises me. That they haven't figured out how to, with AI or whatever, to figure out how to create a plane with all the surfaces that can make the thing basically almost hover at a slow speed, so that all of your landings are way more controlled. Coming in for a landing at 149 miles an hour, 149 knots. It's just insane. And up until now, it's, that's just the way it's been done. But now there are alternatives. So again, I wonder, hopefully there'll be the airline. Yeah, again, the cost and the engineering, but they can do it. So all we have left is now gliding. And we are done with the training. Not that I couldn't use to go through everything again and again and again and again. Try to get all A's, but I just don't see it happening. I really wanted to get back to the career stuff, but it's a real drag. I don't really like the options that they give you. You know, you're so limited in what you can fly, and I don't like flying the Draco. I was talking to my German friends today, Hans and Henning and their buddy, and asking them how their career mode is going, and they're like, yeah, great, but we hate flying the Draco. That's just ridiculous. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's hard enough getting a good score with little mistakes that you make here, but then you get one of those missions and, you know, it's just such a beast. And I don't really enjoy flying the DC. Big pain in the butt, too.
Today, you'll experience soaring in a glider, what many aviators consider to be the purest form of flight. Unlike powered aircraft, a glider pilot must adjust altitude to control airspeed. To increase airspeed, push the control stick forward. Pulling back on the stick will lower airspeed. Maintaining constant airspeed in a glider requires the pilot to frequently and carefully adjust stick input and elevator trim. Let's see how the glider feels at different airspeeds. With gliders, expect a delay of 1 to 2 seconds from control input to change in speed. Let's increase airspeed to 167 kilometers per hour. Gently push the stick forward to pitch the nose down as you observe the airspeed indicator. At 167 kilometers per hour, pull back gently to maintain speed and trim the elevator so that the glider maintains 167 kilometers per hour without pilot input.
What now? Trim. I don't know if the trim's set up properly. It's usually up, that's usually down. There's got to be a trim in here somewhere. This thing. $11. Well, I'm not touching anything, but I'm not touching the joystick, so I don't know why it won't go forward. No stick input is necessary. Well, I'm not touching anything. We got the speed. Come on, man. All right, we're going to move on and do the next one then. Arrow toe. Time is it here? 19 minutes after the hour, and you know what that means. It means in 1 minute it's going to be 20 minutes after the hour, and that usually means it's time for the smoke break. So then I need a drink anyway, and I could do with a quick little smoke break. So all right, there we are. 20 minutes after the hour. The smoke break brought to you by the Great Green Policing Bureaus of the Orion Sector Block. Guild number 420. I don't think that guy standing there is going to mind if we kick back for a minute. Yeah, so welcome back if you are a follower. If not, hello. And yeah, I've been on a really long extended vacation and I'm just getting back. There's a whole lot of reasons that I don't really want to go into, but there are a whole lot of things that were going on that have prevented me from doing streams for the last few months. So I'm really glad that things are kind of stabilizing again. And I'm able to start getting back into this. Also, we've not really been in a hurry because, you know, just this isn't done and this needs fixing and that needs fixing and this needs fixing and, you know, so I've just been kind of letting them do their thing. But I hope everything's been going well for you. Are you doing the career stuff? Are you just doing, you know, what are you doing? If you have any interest in telling me, please let me know in the chat room, and I'd like to know. if anything else, let me grab my coffee here. Cheers. Here's to your health, well-being, and prosperity. I hope everything in your life is going good. Lord knows we all need our lives to be good for a while. Hopefully it's been good, but it seems the average person, when you talk to them, they're like, oh man, when are things going to get good again? I like to remain optimistic, and you know, I'm a kid of the 80s and I got that Howard Jones song perpetually going through my head. Things can only get better. Easier said than done. Yeah, the world is really crazy. Everything's really crazy. It's really, it's like the whole world's been on some funny Kool-Aid, you know? We've lost our groove, that's for sure. I hope that as America approaches its like 250th anniversary, I guess we're going to have a huge party shortly to celebrate our American anniversary. And my hopes are that things can get kind of back on track. They can do some impossibles in Washington, and maybe by the time we have our party, we can actually try to get our groove back a little bit. And that would be great, because, you know, the last time we were truly groovy, as weird as it was the 1970s. And the 80s were pretty groovy too, but it was different. The 80s was definitely different. It was cool. Maybe not so groovy, but it was cool. 90s, yeah, not so much. And since then, yeah, not so much. So now, I'm not saying bring back the afro and bell bottoms, but if that's your thing, cool. I don't. That'd be great. Some of you people in the 70s, I mean, you were ultra groovy. Everything about you, the walk, the talk, the look, you embodied groovy. All right, I think that about does it for the smoke break. Getting a little too much. Woohoo! All right.
Welcome to your air auto training.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Up to 3,000 feet, and we'll be flying a predetermined circuit. When you're ready to release, signal the tow aircraft by moving your rudder left and right a few times.
Would it cost more if we paid him to take us to 4,000? It says we paid for a tug up to 3,000 feet. They charge it by the feet. You know. Only 3,000, any more than that, it's going to cost you. Keep low until the tug lifts off the ground. Keep the wings level. Signal the tow plane.
Keep the wings level until the glider gently rises off the ground.
I kind of suck at these too.
Keep directly behind the tow aircraft at all times, both horizontally and vertically. Excellent. You are maintaining a safe position.
Oh, thank you. I'm nervous, Captain. Nervous. I gotta get groovy, Captain. I gotta find my groove. The only thing I hope doesn't come back. Remember the big collars on the suits?
Tug as it turns.
Those collars were something else, man. Uh-oh. Yeah.
We're approaching the designated altitude of 3,000 feet. Upon release, gently turn to the right as the tow aircraft turns left. Release the cable. Great flight. You are progressing well.
Which? Whoever came up with this was pretty clever, crafty. We're just gonna throw you like a giant ogre. I just throw you.
Today, we're going to practice using a winch to launch the DG-1000.
The power of those things.
Compared to a tow plane launch, a winch will get us airborne much faster, but with a lower release altitude.
Because it's an ogre.
The winch will rapidly accelerate us. Be sure to keep the wings level until the glider lifts off. When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times.
The power.
Rotate.
Whoa. What the hell happened? Woohoo!
Level off, and when you hear a distinct change of sound from the winch, release the cable. This is how we do a winch launch. It certainly gets the blood pumping and keeps your concentration high.
Yeah, we need to do that one again. It didn't go so well. Didn't want to end it?
Keep up the good work, and you will continue improving your skills.
Okay. I failed the ogre. Yeah, all of a sudden, I'm not really sure what happened. Everything was going fine, and all of a sudden, phew! It just...
We're going to practice using a winch to launch the DG-1000 and one into the air. Compared to a towplane launch, a winch will get us airborne much faster, but with a lower release altitude. Once we give the go signal, the winch will rapidly accelerate us. Be sure to keep the wings level until the glider lifts off.
Okay.
When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times.
It's better than yelling, "Oh God," I suppose. Oh God, oh God.
Rotate. Almost at the top. Level off, and when you hear a distinct change of sound from the winch, release the cable.
What's the sound? I didn't hear anything. Did you? I didn't hear anything. Ah, okay.
Has automatically back released.
I didn't hear any sound.
Keep it up, and you'll get the hang of it quickly.
I heard nothing.
It can be tricky to get right, but you did well. Keep practicing and you'll improve quickly.
No, I didn't hear a thing.
Today, we're going to practice using a winch to launch the DG-1001 into the air. Compared to a towplane launch, a winch will get us airborne much.
I need to see the speed too.
Release altitude.
120.
Once we give the
So one.
the winch will rapidly accelerate us. Be sure to keep the wings level until the glider lifts off. When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times. Rotate.
130. Whoa, 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 130.
Abort launch.
What now? He says go up, but then it says maintain 130, so you got to nose back down. Huh.
Today, we're going to practice using a winch to launch the DG.
Well, I'll give it another couple of shots, and after that, just move on.
Compared to a towplane launch, a winch will get us airborne much faster, but with a lower release altitude. Once we give the go signal, the winch will rapidly accelerate us. Be sure to keep the wings level until the glider lifts off. When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times.
You know, what is the angle that you're supposed to be at? Maybe that's in the briefing, and maybe I should have probably looked. See, safe speed of 102 to 130. You gotta be nose down. You get up to that speed pretty quickly. Keeping an eye on that thing. There's 120, there's 130. Too much.
Abort launch.
What now? What? I was exceeding 130. I don't, I thought I was, okay, never mind. Let's try it again.
Today, we're going to practice using a winch to launch the DG-1001 into the air. Compared to a towplane launch, a winch will get us airborne much faster, but with a lower release altitude.
See, there's 130 right there.
The winch will rapidly accelerate us. Be sure to keep the wings level until the glider lifts off. When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times. Rotate. Abort launch.
There's 120. Never mind. We're moving on. Maybe we're supposed to climb more. It didn't, I don't know. Maybe that's just while you're heading down the runway. Because the first 2 times that we did it, it didn't ding us for, it didn't abort. Those were because I didn't release on time or something else. Okay. Thermals, winch, slipping. Steepen the approach when air brakes are not efficient enough, have failed. The forward slip, the pilot applies full or nearly full rudder input in one direction and an appropriate amount of aileron in the opposite direction. This dramatically increases drag, and the glider will lose altitude while keeping the direction of flight aligned with the runway. To align the aircraft's direction with the runway in a crosswind condition, pilot performs a side slip. To initiate a side slip, the pilot applies aileron input into the wind and uses opposite rudder. This counteracts the effects of the crosswind but keeps the aircraft flying in line with the runway. To enter a slip, gently push the rudder up to its full stop or until aligned with the runway. At the same time, apply some aileron to the opposite side. Keep the plane on track with the aileron movements. During the slip, you might need to pull the stick back a bit to prevent the nose from dropping. Additionally, your airspeed indicator might indicate a lower speed than you're actually flying due to the airflow not flowing directly into the pitot tube.
Pilots sometimes need to reduce altitude without gaining excessive speed. Slipping is a technique to accomplish this. This technique can even allow a pilot to land a sailplane without air brakes, crucial if they break or freeze during flight. To perform a slip, the pilot holds the nose to one side with rudder input while lowering the opposite wing with ailerons. You may use either side for slipping, but it is easier to control if you apply aileron into the crosswind. We have a left side crosswind. We need to lower the left wing with ailerons while yawing the nose to the right with the rudder. I will advise when to start the slip maneuver during your final approach. For now, fly closer to the runway. Commence the slip now. Start with right rudder. Now, apply left aileron to keep the glider on track. Now, in addition to slipping, apply full air brakes. The combination will quickly bring us onto our needed glide path. Be aware that the glider will tend to speed up during this maneuver. Use your elevator to maintain approach speed. See how quickly we are approaching the normal glide path. Let's leave the slip now. Good job. See how simple and efficient the slip is. Return rudder and aileron to center position. Keep the air brakes out as required for approach. Now continue the approach. We still have left crosswind and need to align with the runway.
Dump water ballast, land on runway 22.
By the same technique, but with less control input. Use only enough right rudder input to align the glider's nose with the runway. Apply the necessary amount of left aileron input to keep the sailplane's path aligned with the runway. For track correction, use your aileron only. Keep the nose aligned with the runway with your rudder. Now it's your task to carry out the crosswind landing in this way.
We're coming in. He said leave the air brakes on, but it feels like we're coming in way short. Okay. So maybe I shouldn't kick in the brakes right when it says, though. We just didn't have enough oomph.
Pilots sometimes need to reduce altitude without gaining excessive speed. Slipping is a technique to accomplish this. This technique can even allow a pilot to land a sailplane without air brakes, crucial if they break or freeze during flight. To perform a slip, the pilot holds the nose to one side with rudder input while lowering the opposite wing with ailerons. You may use either side for slipping, but it is easier to control if you apply aileron into the crosswind. We have a left side crosswind. We need to lower the left wing with ailerons while yawing the nose to the right with the rudder. I will advise when to start the slip maneuver during your final approach. For now, fly closer to the runway. Commence the slip now. Start with right rudder. Now, apply left aileron to keep the glider on track. Now, in addition to slipping, apply full air brakes. The combination will quickly bring us onto our needed glide path. Be aware that the glider will tend to speed up during this maneuver. Use your elevator to maintain approach speed. See how quickly we are approaching the normal glide path. Let's leave the slip now.
Couldn't hang it. Couldn't handle it the whole way. Couldn't maintain it.
See how simple and efficient the slip is. Return rudder and aileron to center position. Keep the air brakes out as required for approach.
As required.
Now continue the approach. We still have left crosswind and need to align with the runway. This is done by the same technique, but with less control input. Use only enough right rudder input to align the glider's nose with the runway. Apply the necessary amount of left aileron input to keep the sailplane's path aligned with the runway. For track correction, use your aileron only. Keep the nose aligned with the runway with your rudder. Now it's your task.
That's a pain in the ass.
Landing in this way.
Did I land on the wrong runway? That was my drone camera. Yeah, I'll bet. And the brakes are set up. Was it again? Maybe it was the wrong runway. I didn't even look at my compass. I'm stupid.
Pilots sometimes need to reduce altitude without gaining excessive speed. Slipping is a technique to accomplish this. This technique can even allow a pilot to land a sailplane without air brakes, crucial if they break or freeze during flight. To perform a slip, the pilot holds the nose to one side with rudder input while lowering the opposite wing with ailerons. You may use either side for slipping, but it is easier to control if you apply aileron into the crosswind. We have a left side crosswind. We need to lower the left wing with ailerons while yawing the nose to the right with the rudder. I will advise when to start the slip maneuver during your final approach. For now, fly closer to the runway. Commence the slip now. Start with right rudder. Now, apply left aileron to keep the glider on track. Now, in addition to slipping, apply full air brakes. The combination will quickly bring us onto our needed glide path. Be aware that the glider will tend to speed up during this maneuver. Use your elevator to maintain approach speed.
It's full right, but it won't tip over.
Let's leave the slip now.
Ugh. Pain in the ass.
Good job. See how simple and efficient the slip is. Return rudder and aileron to center position. Keep the air brakes out as required for approach. Now continue the approach. We still have left crosswind and need to align with the runway.
Are we supposed to land on the grass?
Done by with left control input. Use only enough right rudder input to align the glider's nose with the runway. Apply the necessary amount of left aileron input to keep the sailplane's path aligned with the runway. For track correction, use your aileron only. Keep the nose aligned with the runway with your rudder. Now it's your task to carry out the crosswind landing in this way.
I guess that wasn't it either. I don't know. Yeah, well. Let me go back. Can't. All right, one more time.
Sometimes need to reduce altitude
And that's it.
without gaining excessive speed. Slipping is a technique to accomplish this. This technique can even allow a pilot to land a sailplane without air brakes, crucial if they break or freeze during flight. To perform a slip, the pilot holds the nose to one side with rudder input while lowering the opposite wing with ailerons. You may use either side for slipping, but it is easier to control if you apply aileron into the crosswind. We have a left side crosswind. We need to lower the left wing with ailerons while yawing the nose to the right with the rudder. I will advise when to start the slip maneuver during your final approach. For now, fly closer to the runway. Commence the slip now. Start with right rudder. Now, apply left aileron to keep the glider on track. Now, in addition to slipping, apply full air brakes. The combination will quickly bring us onto our needed glide path. Be aware that the glider will tend to speed up during this maneuver. Use your elevator to maintain approach speed. See how quickly we are approaching the normal glide path. Let's leave the slip now.
I don't know where the hell we're supposed to land.
How simple and efficient the slip is. Return rudder and aileron to center position. Keep the air brakes out as required for approach. Now continue the approach. We still have left crosswind and need to align with the runway. This is done by the same technique, but with less control input. Use only enough right rudder input to align the glider's nose with the runway. Apply the necessary amount of left aileron input to keep the sailplane's path aligned with the runway. For track correction, use your aileron only. Keep the nose aligned with the runway with your rudder. Now it's your task to carry out the crosswind landing in this way.
I don't see a 22 written anywhere. No. What's the brakes in this thing? Come on. Ten. They aren't working. You failed. Okay, well, you know, I think I'm just gonna call it a day with the training stuff. Man, So I don't know. I mean, I guess the best thing I could do is I should have paid attention to what airport it was, and have a good look around. I don't understand where the heck we're supposed to land, and if we're supposed to land on a different runway. But again, it's telling me keep it aligned on the nose on the runway, and then that turns green when you get lined up again. So I just don't know. I don't know. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm wrapping it up. I think I have had enough for the evening with this the training stuff. I've got most of it all taken care of now. I really do need to finish up just the gliders, but everything else is mostly done. Didn't do the best with helicopters, but good enough. This, man. So, yep, lots of room for improvement. And it's always about improving, right? So thank you for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. Hans and Henning over in Germany said they want to be around tomorrow in the earlier afternoon. So for some friend flying. So gonna try to do some of that. And maybe jump back in for the 200th episode to do some career stuff. So you have a fantastic evening. And thanks for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you're not if you haven't liked and subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Okay. Hasta mañana.